So Elle is a social media influencer. She lives in LA. She's very selling smoothies and yoga pants and beauty products. She's really in that online influencer sphere, and that is how she makes her money. Her entire life is a brand, and she's always thinking about how her life can be content. And she's kind of gotten a little bit disillusioned by this, and realizes that her life is pretty unfulfilled outside of, having all of this stuff. Um, and she is out shooting pictures for a sponsorship, and she encounters something that she thinks is a UFO. She has no idea what to consider this thing. It's just glowing, it's in the sky, it's chasing her. And so she goes live on social media and is like, hey guys, if I die, this is what happened to me. And that goes viral. And it catches the attention of Carter, who is our hero. And he works at a government agency called the Private Intelligence Sector, which they're basically the Men in Black. And so when an alien sighting happens or when there's a UFO incident that goes down, people from his company are going to investigate and, usually intimidate people into silence to get them to stop talking about it so they can keep their government cover-ups moving smoothly. And when he finds Elle's video, he's very intrigued because he saw something very similar right before a family tragedy occurred. And so he's kind of been trying to figure out what is at the heart of that tragedy that happened to him. And he thinks that she might have the answer. And so the two of them cross paths because he's working her case, and she wants to find out the truth. He wants to find out the truth. And so they join forces on this shared mystery that they have and end up uncovering what it was that they both ended up seeing. It was really fun that when all those drones were happening in New Jersey a couple months ago, I was like, oh my God, this is marketing. I mean, I've always just liked the unknown as a whole. Like, I love ghosts and all things spooky, and I like when I don't really understand what's going on. I like the element of mystery that comes with it. And I also think that, like, I really like space, and I think it's cool to think about what's out there and how big it is, and there's got to be something else out there. Like, there's no way that we are the only intelligent life in the galaxy, in the universe. And so I think just the idea of aliens is kind of fun. I love a good alien invasion movie. They're really, really fun, and I just like it. And so when I was researching for Love and Other Conspiracies, I listened to a podcast episode about the Men in Black, and I was like, oh, that could be a very, very interesting, premise for a romance novel. What if your love interest literally was a government agent who was investigating UFOs? And so, I mean, it was really fun digging into the lore, and the lore is kind of spotty because it's obviously supposed to be a secret. So there isn't a whole lot on the record about it. So it was fun to kind of make my own lore, and figure out exactly how this organization works. And I kind of got to infuse a bit of like an old school noir vibe to it, where, everything's a little bit outdated, where it seems really charming in, a 40s noir movie, but if you had to be dealing with it in the year 2025, would not be that fun. And so I really just wanted to lean into the history of that post-Roswell UFO boom that happened in the United States, and what the people investigating that type of incident would be like and what their work style would be. So I find that I love writing dialogue. That is one of my favorite things to write, and banter is like just so much fun to dive into. With Ellen Carter in particular, I think she has kind of more of a like a girly voice, and she's, thinking about things in internet terms, and she's using, she thinks about things in way of the algorithm, and he's a little bit more analytical in terms of like, he's thinking about this like he's uncovering a mystery. He deals with all this bureaucracy. And so he's obviously very young and, really green and sweet and funny. But he's trying to be a really serious government agent. And so that was really fun to kind of have him slip in and out of being, a young guy, but also, working with all of these, older men who, you know, have been doing this for much longer than he has, and he's trying to fit in with them. He's trying to, you know, join the boys club there. So he was really fun to write. Carter is probably the most fun I've ever had writing a character. I mean, I think it's a little bit of both. Like I will hear their voices in my head. But as I'm writing, I'm kind of like I am kind of living the movie. Like I'm in the scene with the characters and I'm watching them interact. And so I mean that definitely comes from the screenwriting background, is that I am picturing everything like a movie. So it is sort of just like guiding what is the natural response and what the heart of the conversation is. And I find that just differentiating their voices is something that I do over time as I write. Like it will get more refined as I draft further and as I revise further. So I think that I come into it with a pretty clear vision of what the characters sound like. But obviously, like, you know, when you work with your editor and you're getting towards, you know, releasing a book, you're really honing into who these characters are, and it gets stronger and stronger with every revision. Especially in Love at First Sighting. I love the idea of tying the romance with an action adventure plot. They are falling in love as they're solving a mystery. And so you get to add in these more high octane scenes where they're sneaking into a government archive, or they are doing some kind of stealth mission somewhere, and they're in a car chase. And so you get to kind of like play up the romance in those moments of like, oh no, there's somebody coming. We're gonna have to stand really close together. Or, you know, you're gonna have to, you know, help me get out of handcuffs, and all these fun little things that bring these two closer together. So for me in this book, I really loved getting to see the way that they fall for each other when things are probably not ideal. Like they are in trouble. They are potentially going to get arrested. Like, what about that entices them to the other person? What skills can one of them or the other show off that is like, oh, that's actually very attractive that you can do that? Or I'm really into, you know, the fact that you were able to analyze all of this, and, you know, you thought of a getaway plan before I did. And so that was really the most fun for me in this book.